Have you ever asked yourself, who was I before I was born? Have you ever walked into a place that felt strangely familiar, or carried an unexplained fear that seemed to come from nowhere? Welcome back to Son.Mindfulness. This is where we explore Buddhist teachings in a simple and relatable way, a place to bring peace, wisdom, and joy into everyday life. Even in today's world of great scientific progress, many questions remain unanswered. We still do not fully understand consciousness. The fear of death, the uncertainty of tomorrow, still troubles many hearts. So where can we find true guidance? Buddhism offers us another perspective. The Buddha taught that death is not the end. Every action, every word, every thought plants a seed for the future. We are the ones who shape our destiny, no one else. In this video, we will explore the profound teachings of karma, rebirth, non-self, and mindfulness. We will see how these truths can free us from the fear of death, and how they can help us live with more compassion, lightness, and joy in the present. Stay with us until the end of this video. You may discover something that changes the way you see life. Please subscribe and support Son.Mindfulness. We are deeply grateful for your presence. May you and your family always enjoy good health, peace, happiness, and good fortune. And now, let us begin this journey of discovery together. Are you ready to step into the timeless question, who were you before you became you? Part 1. The Timeless Question. My dear friend, have you ever sat quietly, gazing at the night sky and asked, where do I come from? Before this name, before this body, who was I? This is not just a passing thought. For many people, especially in the later years of life, this question touches the deepest part of the heart. It awakens a longing that feels familiar, as if we once knew, once lived it, but somehow forgot. Throughout human history, the question, what is our true origin, has never stopped calling us. Some have searched for answers in the Bible, believing in a creator who made each soul. Others turn to Indian philosophy, teaching endless rebirths where we live many lives, completing unfinished lessons. Indigenous traditions tell us we once existed as spirits walking with Mother Earth, in harmony with forests and rivers. But the Buddha chose a very different path. He did not search endlessly for a someone outside who created us. He turned inward. And from that inner vision, he spoke profound words. Through countless lives, I wandered in search of the builder of this house, but could not find him. The house here is the cycle of birth and death, the endless wheel of samsara. And the builder is not a god, but craving and ignorance living within each of us. Doesn't this feel close to our own lives? Think of a time when you clung to something, a relationship, a dream, even a resentment. You suffered because you could not let go. That very clinging was the builder, quietly raising another wall, locking you deeper into the house samsara. An elderly Buddhist once shared with me, "Teacher, as I grow older, I fear death more. But after hearing the Buddha's teaching, I realized what is truly frightening is not death itself, but the ignorance that continues, keeping me trapped in this endless cycle." Her words left me silent. Because indeed the Buddha's teaching is not just to answer where we come from, but to show the way out of bondage. Modern science even points in a similar direction. Psychologists say the deepest human anxiety is not losing wealth or growing old, but the fear of not knowing who we truly are, not knowing where we come from. When we lack that clarity, our minds feel empty and restless. But once we find meaning, life gains order and direction. The Buddha did not hand us a map of the universe. He gave us a mirror. That mirror does not reflect distant stars but our own inner being, where all answers reside. He reminds us to clearly see craving, ignorance, and attachment is the first step to know who we are and the doorway to liberation. So my dear friend, are you willing to pause just once and look inward? Are you ready to ask this question? Not to wait for an answer from outside, but to touch the very roots of suffering and peace within yourself? The timeless question, who were you before you became you, is a lamp to light the way. Not to satisfy curiosity, but to lead us into the deepest truth, the nature of suffering and the path out of it. Part 2. Rebirth and Traces of the Past. My dear friend, have you ever felt something strangely familiar, as if you had been in a place before, or met someone before, even though your mind knows it is the first time? People call that déjà vu. Buddhism sees such moments as glimpses of memory, reminders that this life is only one chapter in the endless book of consciousness. After his enlightenment, the Buddha shared that he remembered countless past lives of his own. Not in vague shadows but vivid, with names, places, joys, and sorrows. Seeing that continuity, he understood karma and the roots of suffering more deeply. It showed him with certainty, this life is neither the beginning nor the end. I recall a woman once confided in me. Since childhood, she had carried a strange fear of water. She had never drowned, nor had any accident with rivers or seas. Yet whenever she stood near the ocean, her heart raced as if pulled by an ancient memory. When she heard the teaching on rebirth, she said, "Perhaps in a distant life, I died in water. The fear still clings to me today." Have you ever had such an experience? A fear without cause? A strange connection to a culture or language you never studied? Western researchers have also been intrigued. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, spent more than 40 years studying over 2,500 cases of children recalling past lives. Children as young as 3 or 4 described families, towns, even their own deaths in previous lives. When taken to those places, their details often matched with astonishing accuracy. The most famous case is that of Shanti Devi in India. At age 4, she described living in another town with a husband and children and remembered how she died. When her family visited the exact place, everyone was stunned. Houses, people, and even the smallest details aligned with her memories. Skeptics may call these imagination or suggestion. But when stories appear again and again, across cultures, they invite us to reflect. Whether you believe it or not, the teaching of rebirth widens our vision of life. If this life is only one among many, then every thought, word, and deed we sow today will echo in the stream of consciousness. Life does not end when we close our eyes. It simply turns a page, written by the karma we have created. Do you see how this changes the way we live? If death is not the final period, but only a comma in the long poem of the soul, then suffering, loss, and even death itself appear in a new light. Not as punishment, nor as chance, but as part of a greater journey. Each experience becomes meaningful, not bound to the present alone, but carried forward in the long continuum of life. Imagine this. What if your actions today became memories you yourself would carry in a future life? Would you want them to be memories of regret and bitterness, or memories warmed by compassion and love? When we think this way, even the smallest act becomes sacred. The Buddha did not teach rebirth to frighten us. He taught it to awaken responsibility. For every breath, every choice. Because all of it follows us, as a shadow follows the body. So my dear friend, rebirth is not a distant theory. It is a gentle reminder that every moment today is a seed for tomorrow, and for the countless lives yet to come. Part 3. The Stream of Consciousness and the Bardo. My dear friend, when we think of death, most of us imagine that death is the end. Like a lamp suddenly blown out, nothing remains. But Buddhism offers a different vision. Death is not an ending, it is a passage. A stream continues to flow, the stream of consciousness itself. The Buddha did not say there is an eternal soul leaving one body to enter another. He taught that consciousness is like a river. It never stands still. Each drop changes constantly, yet the flow continues unbroken. And whatever we think, do, and desire leaves impressions that shape the next flow into the life to come. Imagine this. A flame lights another candle. The new candle burns brightly, but it is not the same flame. Yet there is a connection, a continuation, cause leading to effect. Our stream of consciousness is the same. At the final moment of life, the last thought is like a seed planted. That seed opens the door into the next birth. If the last thought is anger or fear, it can draw us into unrest. If the last thought is peace and release, the doorway opens wide and clear. I once sat beside an elderly woman on her deathbed. She gripped my hand and whispered, "Teacher, I am so afraid." I leaned close and whispered back, "Rest your mind on your breath. Do not cling to fear. Do not hold on to regret. Remember, the last thought will be the door you step through." A few breaths later, her face softened. She passed away in peace. That is the power of the final thought. In Tibetan Buddhism, this state between death and rebirth is called the Bardo. In the Bardo, consciousness is no longer tied to the body. It becomes clear and sharp, yet easily swept into confusion. If we have practiced mindfulness in life, then in the Bardo, that light of mindfulness guides us like a lantern, keeping us steady. But if we lived only in greed, anger, and ignorance, those seeds will rise up and pull us into darker realms. Modern studies of near-death experiences describe something strikingly similar. People whose hearts stopped, whose brains showed no activity, later reported seeing light, leaving their bodies, hearing voices around them. Their stories closely resemble the Buddhist description of the Bardo. This suggests that consciousness may not be limited to the brain. It may continue in some form, even after the body dissolves. Do you find that both strange and comforting? Strange because it defies our usual ways of thinking. Comforting because it tells us that death is not the end, but a door. And the key is not where the door leads, but the state of mind with which we step through it. So we must remember, every thought, every action leaves its mark. Not only in the present, but in the journey after this body falls away. If we cultivate compassion, wisdom, and release, the stream will carry us to a peaceful place. My dear friend, if today were your last day, what final thought would you want in your heart? Ask yourself that now, and live today with that answer. Part 4. Karma and Rebirth. My dear friend, have you ever asked yourself, why is one person born into abundance while another is born into poverty? Why is one blessed with health and peace while another struggles with illness again and again? If we see only this single lifetime, the answers seem limited to luck, fate, or chance. But Buddhism offers a deeper view. Karma. Karma is not punishment. It is not reward from an outside power. It is simply the law of cause and effect. Every thought, every word, every action plants a seed in the stream of consciousness. And those seeds sooner or later bear fruit. The Buddha once said, "I am the owner of my actions, the heir of my actions, born of my actions, related to my actions, supported by my actions." This teaching is like a mirror, showing each of us our responsibility. We cannot place blame on anyone else. The circumstances we live in today, good or bad, are connected to seeds we planted in the past. I recall one man who came to me in despair. He worked tirelessly, yet never felt secure, while others seemed to prosper with ease. I asked him gently, "Do you often complain or feel envy in your work?" He was silent for a long time, then nodded. I smiled and said, "Then those are the seeds you are planting, discontent and lack. Try planting gratitude, generosity, and sharing. You will see better fruits appear in time." You see, karma is not fixed like a sentence. It is like a garden. The plants growing today sprouted from yesterday's seeds, but the garden of tomorrow depends on what we plant now. That is why the Buddha taught, the past shapes the present, but the present shapes the future. In the process of rebirth, karma plays the central role. For a new life to begin, 3 conditions meet. the union of the parents, the mother's readiness to conceive, and the arrival of a Gantaba, the stream of consciousness carrying past karmic imprints. This means our birth, our conditions, are not random. They match the seeds we have sown. Yet the most important truth is this: karma does not bind us like chains. We always have the power to plant new seeds. If we spend life in bitterness and blame, we keep planting seeds of suffering. But if we pause, become mindful, and sow compassion, wisdom, and forgiveness, then the fruits of the future will be different. Perhaps you've heard the saying, "As you sow, so shall you reap." In Buddhism, it goes even deeper. What you sow, you become. Those who sow anger become burdened with heaviness. Those who sow gratitude become joyful at heart. Modern psychology confirms this. Research shows that when we repeatedly nurture a state, anger or gratitude, the brain forms new pathways. The more often a seed is repeated, the deeper it roots in the mind. So karma is not some distant philosophy. It is a living reality in each moment. Ask yourself, what seeds am I planting in my mind today? Those seeds will not disappear. They will bloom in this life and in the lives to come. My dear friend, plant the seeds you would want to greet you at the doorway of rebirth. For it is those very seeds that will meet you on the other side. Part 5. Non-Self and the 5 Aggregates. My dear friend, throughout our lives we often think of ourselves as a solid I. My name, my face, my memories, my achievements, my joys and sorrows, all of these seem to form one permanent self. But the Buddha revealed a surprising truth. The I we cling to is only an illusion. Hard to believe, isn't it? Let me give you an image. Think of a horse-drawn cart. When the wheels, the axle, the frame, and the yoke are all together, we call it a cart. But if you take each part apart, no single piece is the cart. The cart is only a name we give to the temporary combination of many parts. We human beings are the same. This body and mind are made up of 5 elements, called the 5 aggregates: form, the body; feeling, sensations; perception, recognition; mental formations, thoughts and intentions; and consciousness, awareness. They come together, interact, and change constantly. But if you search for an eternal, unchanging self behind them, you will not find one. Have you ever looked in the mirror and said, "How did I grow old so quickly?" Your face today is not the same as years ago. Your emotions have shifted. Even your memories have changed. Everything within you flows and transforms. The I you cling to is nothing more than a moving stream, never fixed, never solid. One elderly Buddhist once told me, "Teacher, when I understood non-self, I felt such relief. All my life I tried to defend my pride, protect my ego, argue with others, but then I realized that self never really existed. Why suffer over it?" Her words were simple, but full of wisdom. Because when we believe in a permanent self, we naturally compare, compete, fear, and cling. But when we see non-self clearly, we begin to let go. We are no longer obsessed with winning or losing, no longer see ourselves as the center of the universe, and then compassion naturally blooms. We recognize that self and others are streams flowing together, deeply connected. The Buddha gave another image, a flame lighting another candle. The new flame is not the old one, but it is not entirely different either. They are joined by continuity and cause. In the same way, across lifetimes, there is no fixed soul jumping from one body to another. There is only the stream of consciousness continuing on, carrying karmic seeds we have planted. Today, neuroscience offers a similar perspective. Researchers suggest that the self is not a permanent entity, but the result of countless brain processes, memories, emotions, and experiences coming together. Understanding non-self does not push us into despair. It frees us. When we see the self as a temporary collection, we stop exhausting ourselves trying to protect it. We are no longer afraid of change, because change is the very nature of life. We suffer less, because there is nothing real to lose, only an illusion that was never there to begin with. My dear friend, if the self does not truly exist, why do we cling to it so fiercely and suffer so much to defend it? When we see non-self, we live more lightly, more lovingly, more freely. This is the path to true liberation. Non-self does not take anything away from us. Instead, it shows us that we are always connected with all beings. And in that deep connection, compassion blossoms. Part 6. Science and Ancient Wisdom. My dear friend, today, science and spirituality are often seen as two separate paths. One speaks of data, the brain, and what can be measured. The other speaks of consciousness, enlightenment, and truths beyond numbers and experiments. Yet the deeper we go, the more we see remarkable points of meeting. Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha taught about the nature of consciousness. He said that awareness is not just a product of the brain, but a continuous flow beyond the physical body. Even today, neuroscientists still debate the hard problem of consciousness. How do electrical signals in the brain give rise to subjective feelings, joy, pain, or a fleeting memory? So far, there is no complete answer. This only makes the Buddha's teaching feel more timeless. Consider what doctors call terminal lucidity. Patients with Alzheimer's, who for years no longer recognize their loved ones, suddenly regain clarity before death. They call children by name, give final words of love. How can that be explained if memory exists only in damaged brain cells? Some scientists suggest memory and consciousness may not live solely in the brain. They may extend beyond it, much like the Buddhist view of mind. There are also cases of heart transplant patients who suddenly adopt the tastes and habits of their donors. Foods they never liked before become favorites, exactly matching the donor's preferences. Could it be that memory and consciousness dwell in every cell of the body, not just the brain? Such phenomena are leading modern science to open its doors to the possibility that mind is larger than the physical body. Buddhism has long taught, the mind is like the sky, and the body like passing clouds. Clouds may gather and disperse, but the sky remains. Have you heard stories of near-death experiences? People describe leaving their bodies, watching doctors work on them, seeing bright light, feeling profound peace. These reports are strikingly similar to the Tibetan Buddhist description of the Bardo, the state between death and rebirth. Such similarities suggest that science and Buddhism may be touching the same truth, expressed in different languages. And today, neuroscience also studies meditation. Longtime meditators, like Matthew Ricard, show unusual brain activity in regions linked to compassion and mindfulness. Their brain structures even change. Gray matter becomes thicker in areas tied to focus and positive emotions. This confirms what Buddhism has taught for centuries. Meditation not only brings peace of mind, it transforms the body itself. My dear friend, hearing these things, do you feel some relief? For modern science, so tied to reason, is now meeting the ancient wisdom of the Buddha. This meeting gives us confidence that the spiritual path is not superstition. It is a living practice that impacts both mind and body. It not only helps us live more peacefully in the present, but also opens a wider vision of the continuity of consciousness. And the most precious reminder is this: even as science advances, many questions about consciousness remain unanswered. That is why the Buddha's teaching still holds full value. Turn inward, practice mindfulness, nourish compassion and wisdom, because only you can transform your own suffering. Part 7. Living with the Understanding of Many Lives. My dear friend, imagine that the life you are living now is only one chapter in an endless book. When we understand this, everything looks different. Death is no longer a final period. It is only a comma, opening the way to another page. And hardships, losses, and challenges are no longer punishments. They become opportunities to learn important lessons on the spiritual journey. I remember a lay Buddhist in his 60s once told me, In the past, I thought life was short, that I had to enjoy it quickly, fight to get my share. But once I understood rebirth, I saw everything as temporary. Winning and losing are all left behind. What matters is what seeds I plant today, so that my heart is at peace tomorrow. His words were simple, yet a living testimony to the power of the wisdom of rebirth. When we know that death is not the end, fear softens. We see that every action, every word, every thought we nurture today will continue and shape the life to come. The Buddha taught, all beings have been mother and father to one another through countless lives. Doesn't this truth touch your heart? The stranger before you may once have been your parent. The person across from you may once have been your child, your friend. With this understanding, the wall between me and others dissolves. Compassion and tolerance arise because we see that everyone carries their own karma and suffering. Modern psychology also tells us this. People fear death less when life feels meaningful. And meaning often comes when we connect ourselves to something greater than our own small self. Buddhism gives us that greater vision. We are not just living for ourselves. We are part of the vast stream of life without end. This perspective does not make us pessimistic. It helps us live more deeply in each moment. If every experience, joyful or painful, shapes the next life, should we not live with greater mindfulness and presence? My dear friend, ask yourself, if every action today becomes luggage for tomorrow, what do you want to carry with you? Will it be the heavy burden of regret and anger, or the gentle warmth of love and forgiveness? When we see life in this wide way, our hearts feel less narrow. We no longer resent the past or worry excessively about the future. Because we know that the present is the richest soil to plant seeds, and the seeds we plant today, however small, will bloom in lives to come. A generous act, a kind word, a mindful breath, each is precious capital for the long journey. You see, understanding many lives does not take us away from reality. It helps us live this very life more fully. We become less impatient, less selfish, less heavy-hearted. Instead, we grow compassion and understanding, so each day becomes a step closer to peace and freedom. So, my dear friend, if today you face suffering, remind yourself, this is only a short passage in a long journey, and the way you walk through this passage will shape the road ahead. Conclusion. My dear friend, we have walked together on a long journey. We spoke of the timeless question, who were you before you became you? We listened to the Buddha's teaching on rebirth and karma. We explored non-self, the stream of consciousness, and the Bardo. We also saw how modern science is beginning to meet ancient wisdom. And at the heart of it all, we found the message, live with mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. Every moment is a seed. Every thought, every word, every action shapes the future. Do you see your life as a garden? What seeds do you wish to plant there today? Death is not a full stop, it is a passage. Do you still fear death, knowing it only opens a new door? Or can you smile, knowing the seeds you plant now will blossom in the days ahead? When we understand non-self, we stop defending a weary ego. We learn to let go and live lightly. When we understand karma, we see we are the true owners of our destiny. Do you wish to create a future filled with peace and compassion? Then I congratulate you. For if you have come this far, it means the seed of awakening has already begun to grow within you. The most important thing is not only to listen, but to practice. You can begin with small steps, one mindful breath, one kind word, one generous act, and be patient. Even the smallest seed can grow into a great tree. I am deeply grateful for your listening heart and your open spirit on this path. Thank you for giving your precious time and for walking with Son.Mindfulness. If you found this video meaningful, please subscribe and continue to journey with us. Share your thoughts, reflections, or stories in the comments. Your own experience may become a guiding light for someone else. May you and your family always enjoy good health, peace, happiness, and good fortune. May each day you live be filled with compassion and wisdom. With gratitude, always.